Media Tuscaloosa sites. Fill out the Advertise Here form. Put the power of Town Square Media to work for your business.
It's time.
You know what time it is?
Game for Tuscaloosa's longest running sports show.
The biggest goal of our team,
especially in the first half,
we at Bama, we're trying to be the best.
Always is to win a national championship.
Something cool to look back on.
We don't want to waste a failure.
You're inside the game.
John Mechie on the ground.
Appreciate your interest in the game.
On your home for Alabama sports.
Alabama wins.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. And now, here's your award-winning host, Ryan Fowler.
Oh, Rocky Top, you'll never mean one darn thing to me. Screw you, Rocky Top. Go to blank, Tennessee. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just kind of warming up for the show just a little bit. Oh, Tennessee. Don't you just hate Tennessee? I mean, it is. I can't even really explain it. Like, if you've never lived in it, you just don't understand it. You think you understand it, but really, and Kalen DeBoer will teach you, no problem. It's kind of like you're teaching your buddy. You put your arm around him and coach, and maybe today we'll do that for the next 4 hours. We'll let the audience tell Kalen DeBoer something he needs to know about these Volunteers. But I'll start with this. This is a program who really tried to burn the University of Alabama. And it's okay. Listen, everybody in college football now, but back then as well, you live in the gray area, right? You would never cross over that line, but you would live there, right? You would live in that gray area. You cross over that line, and then you have a chance to get a report from Philip Fulmer, and Philip Fulmer reported, and that's the reason why this rivalry that had so much respect, it turned bitter. Right? It had involved with court cases and Supreme Court and this appeal and that appeal. And Tennessee reported Alabama and really kind of set them up, but also was doing the same thing. And if you look at Philip Fulmer, some people don't ever get theirs until they meet their maker. And when he stands in front of Jesus and he says, even though I don't know if he's accepted Christ as his personal savior, but when he has to repent for his sins, let's just say it'll take him a lot longer than most of us. Philip Fulmer will be there. So if you're in line, jump in front of Philip Fulmer, okay? You don't want to be behind him because he's going to be there for a little bit, okay? Philip Fulmer's just one of those guys that will be there. He's going to have to repent. Like I said, it's going to take him a little bit longer than most, okay? We've all fallen short. Romans tells us that. But our good friend Philip Fulmer has sinned more than most, and an integrity problem. So we're going to dive into that. We're going to talk about it. The cigar tradition is something that's awesome. When you look at it, I don't smoke cigars, but it's this game. It's that special moment when you walk into the Neyland Stadium and you look in the back pocket, okay? And you never want to jinx your team, but you see that cigar holder, that little plastic thing that's protecting your cigar. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the game, cigar is all the smoke all the way around the stadium. It is a game. Even Kalen DeBoer yesterday was asked about cigar smoke. And he said, well, I want to give our fans the right to celebrate. But, hey, we're going to talk about it. We're going to discuss this. Alabama's working towards Tennessee. Heard some good things from practice. Heard some good things at practice. But it really, let me tell you something else. They went a little good on good today. Now, you say, well, why is that so odd? Generally, you don't have a lot of good on good, or at least not under the Kalen DeBoer system. Saban used to do it some, especially during those intense periods. But, hey, a little bit of good on good. And I think that's an important thing, and I'll tell you why I think it's an important thing. When you look at depth issues now has caused – I don't know if you get a proper look in practice, because if we have depth issues with the first and second string, think about what the scout team looks like. Think about what the scout team offense, scout team defense that you're going up against. So you know that that's going to be depleted because you're going down to your third and fourth string guys to be able to kind of counterbalance some of this. So, hey, getting a little good on good, And that's one of the things that they did in practice. I did not go to campus today, did not make the media availability. Had to go to my great accountant today. Today's tax day. Happy tax day. I wish that we would have election day and tax day on the same day. So that's what I wish, because you walk out, you write that check, and you put it up there to IRS on October the 15th or April the 15th. So I had to go take care of that today. So I had to go take care of Don Wattis. And he told me to tell you guys that y'all need to do a better job on these score prediction contests. Okay. So not only did he school my butt, because he's always doing, well, you need to do this for IRS. He always says, I work for you, not the IRS. But he told me to tell you guys to tighten up on the score prediction contest, because, he's looking at these different scores, and he's really, it's a challenge. Vanderbilt made it a challenge. South Carolina made it a challenge. We'll announce the winner coming up as we progress. And also, we will announce our parlay pick winner a little bit earlier. We will not do it all the way until Friday. We will not do it on Friday simply because we have a concert that we're giving away tickets to Dwight Yoakam, and we don't want to give you, Friday, hey, we announced the winner, and then you got to make plans. So we'll do that a little bit early. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. We'll announce the winner, and it'll give you about 2 days to get to the Dwight Yoakam concert. So that'll be coming up at the AMP on Friday evening, Dwight Yoakam. And then we've got Alabama Crimson Tide football. So if you're staying in Tuscaloosa and not going to Knoxville, that'll be an opportunity to kind of celebrate the day and get ready for this Alabama Crimson Tide football team. Many of you will make that trip to Neyland Stadium. I've been there. It's a dump. No, not just the orange look like a dump. No, it really is. It's a stadium that's outdated, especially where the visitors come in. It looks like something that you would see, and we always go up there third Saturday of October. It's almost like Halloween decorations, but it's not Halloween for them. It's just typical, right? Not only the orange flavor, but you walk into the visitor section, and it looks like something out of a movie. It's old, it's rusted, and the whole town of Knoxville is just. You ever see that guy, Chase, the guy that goes back in 2006, and he explains why he hates Tennessee, and he said, I hate orange, I hate this, I hate pumpkins.
Yeah.
You know what? That guy, he speaks for all of us. He does. No, he does. It's Knoxville is, if you started ranking college towns in the SEC, like Athens is a good place. Baton Rouge is a solid place to watch a football game. Never been to College Station, but I assume Bryan and College Station are pretty awesome. I've been to Stark Vegas. Oh, Oxford's great. But Knoxville is the dump of all dumps. It's a trashy town. It's an urban campus that, you go one block away and, you need to go grab the bulletproof vest just to make sure you're walking down the sidewalk proper. Okay. I'm speaking truth here on the show. I'm open up fire. Tennessee just makes me mad. I was talking about the NCAA a couple of minutes ago. It's got me all mad thinking about Phillip Fulmer, and maybe one thing we need to tell Kalen DeBoer. Let me explain it this way, Coach. If you're beating them 48-7, there's 2 minutes to go and you're on the goal line, run it between their freaking throat and then kick an onside kick and score another 7, okay? That's how much we hate Tennessee. If it's 48-7 and you've got the ball on the 2-yard line, run it down their freaking throat, kick an onside kick, get another touchdown. That's what we're looking for, okay? That's what it takes to beat this bunch. And I'm sure Kalen DeBoer's probably realized, hey, you got your foot on the gas? Don't let up. Don't let up. I think Alabama will play a little better. Today, we're going to explore why they will play a little better. Mike Titillier coming up around 2:15. Mike Titillier, WWL, the Big 870. He does an afternoon radio show there, and he joins us every Tuesday at 2:15. We always enjoy picking Mike's brain. Mike's got a lot of things to talk about. LSU pulling the upset. Tony Franklin is an offensive-minded guy. Tony Franklin's former offensive coordinator, a guy that has groomed a lot of quarterbacks, including Jared Goff. When you look back at just grooming quarterbacks, he's got a history of that. We're going to dive into it with Tony Franklin coming up around 3:30. We're going to have a chance to feature him. And then at 4 o'clock, Brad Edwards. Brad gave the rivalry of Tennessee. When you beat them 16 out of 17 years, he pretty much says it like this. He says, when you look at the Tennessee rivalry, it's the hammer and the nail. Is the hammer and the nail a rivalry? So Rocket Man up in Huntsville, you requested Brad Edwards. We got Brad Edwards at 4 o'clock. So Tony Franklin at 3:30, Brad Edwards at 4. And then at 2:15, we'll talk with Mike Detillier. We're always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Scotland Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. 1.99 APR on the Tundra. If you're looking for a Camry, if you're looking for a Corolla, you're looking for a RAV4, got a great selection of pre-owned inventory. You can find that at Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. We'll do our Southern Ale House score prediction day. We're going to do that coming up today. Let me look up at the call board, and we will take those coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Looks like Bubba in Northport will be the first caller out of the gate. Bubba in Northport, get ready for a tiebreaker. Hopefully you can find a tiebreaker. Paul in Lincoln, I don't know, man. You must be slacking. You got beat by, about a minute and, about 2 minutes. 2 minutes and some change here. Robert in Mobile, third, and then Marty will get to you as well. Southern Ale House score prediction day today. We'll give away a nice prize package, including some Daniel Moore goodies and a Southern Ale House gift card and a dozen red roses. This time of the year, we call that doghouse prevention. That's what we call it. If you don't know what doghouse prevention is, then it probably doesn't apply to you. That's okay. Chase, you're patting yourself on the back. Doghouse prevention is what we call a dozen red roses. And you're 6 weeks into college football. You've probably neglected the better half a little bit. You've probably watched too much football because there was 56 days in a row. Tuesday football, Wednesday football, Thursday football, Friday football, Saturday football, Sunday football, Monday night. I mean, you don't even get a break. So you could probably use a little of that doghouse prevention. Pat's Floors, 1010 Queen City Avenue. Now, if you've got a mate that loves college football, that's a thumbs up because you get to share. I mean, we were watching the Jets and the Buffalo Bills last night. That was a pretty solid NFL game. College football has got toward the NFL. We're going to go to Mike Detillier coming up here in just a couple of minutes. We're powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. We'll take your scores.
Freedom and flexibility. That's what you want in a healthcare plan. And with Humana's Medicare Advantage PPO plans, you can see any doctor in the country who accepts Medicare, including specialists, with no referrals needed. Plus, you can go in and out of network for the same copay for doctor's visits. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
You're feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text support to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
What a beautiful fall afternoon. The sky's sunny. The high today 71. Clear and very cool tonight. The low 41. For tomorrow, sunny and cool. The high 62. And Thursday, another sunny day. The high Thursday at 68. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 71 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Where the legends of Alabama football hang out.
McCarron, draw play. Lacey, huge hole.
Touchdown. Yep.
Alabama touchdown.
The Game with Ryan Fowler. Your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
I keep a close watch on this heart of mine.
Let's go let's go to the state of Louisiana at New Orleans. One of our good friends of the program, Mike Detillier, WWL, the big 870 AM and FM, does an afternoon PM drive with Bobby Hebert and company. Micah, welcome back to Tuscaloosa. I hope you're having a great day.
All right, Ryan, I'm doing well. Thank you.
Mike, I bet your audience was pretty fired up, man. Pretty impressive victory for the LSU Bengal Tigers.
Before and after the game. Ryan, I told you this before. Man, if I had liquor sales from Friday until midnight Saturday, I would never, I don't have to, but I wouldn't have to work for 3 years. It'd be the equivalent of that. Okay. Man, they were revved up. Ole Miss fans, LSU fans. We do the pregame show at Acme, which is maybe a mile from Tiger Stadium. I had to kind of squeeze to get through. People were trying to let me get through to get to where we were doing the show. It was packed in there. But, man, everybody had a wild time before and after the game. So, yeah, LSU fans were fired up. This is the 100th year anniversary of Tiger Stadium. If they wrote a book, and they do have one that's coming out, they may have to go to reprint. You may have to put this story in that book.
Well, Mike, I want to dive into what has flipped the script on LSU, because when you look at this team, we talked about it throughout the offseason. They lose to USC, and they're going, okay, this is probably going to be a kind of ugly season. Then they skate by a couple of wins, but it seems like they're back on track. What has led to this getting back on track for the Bengal Tigers?
Better on the defensive side, the football. They lost their best run stopper in Jacoby and Guillory to an Achilles injury. Then you lose Harold Perkins, their best pass rusher, to a knee injury. And it's been two players that have really stepped up their game, and Whit Weeks. And I talked about him even last year when he was a freshman. My thing is, how the hell he's not on the field? He's a guy that got football instincts. They may have guys bigger, faster, stronger, and he's a good athlete. Man, he got great football instincts. 18 tackles against Ole Miss, a couple of tackles for a loss, quarterback sack, drop back in coverage. He made a couple of, knockdown throws with his play. And Brendan Swanson coming off the edge. Off season, we had Pete Jenkins on a few times. I said, tell me a couple guys that you think might be able to step up. And the first one he talked about was Savion Jones. He said, Mike, I played him out of position last year. I had to. We didn't have any depth, and I needed him inside. But really, he's a better edge player. And he's played good. But Swinson has been the guy as a pass rusher. And he is former Oregon Duck. Didn't like maybe playing time there. Decides to transfer to LSU. He's been big time for LSU as far as getting the pass rush. Their secondary is still not real good. And people talk about, what they did again. One of the first plays of the game, Trey Harris, he's wide open. He drops a pass. What shocked me, because Trey and I, we go back a few years. Trey was at Como High School in southwest Louisiana. He was throwing the football to a pretty good receiver there by the name of Malik Neighbors. But Trey was the quarterback. And then he made the transition to a wide receiver, started at Louisiana Tech, transferred to Ole Miss, but he was wide open. The ball went right through his hands. And then they missed a field goal. I turned to the individual I was sitting right alongside of. I said, LSU's going to win tonight. Come on. You get a surefire touchdown, go through one of the top receivers in the country, and you miss a field goal? It was LSU's night. And offensively, they played pretty well. They didn't run the ball well, and I give Ole Miss a lot of credit. Ole Miss did a good job of stopping the LSU's running attack. But when they needed to, and they had to, it was Garrett Nussmeier making plays. And he didn't have the best game, certainly as a Tiger. But when they needed him to on some critical plays, he came through for them big time. And Tyron Lacey, Tyron's mom, a lot of people know that spokesman for Thibodeau Regional Medical Center, and Tyron's mom's a sitter. If somebody's got a broken hip or major surgery, or they maybe have some issues, she'll sit with someone overnight. Its family needs a little rest. And so I've been knowing Kyron since he was probably 13 years old. Great basketball player, won a state championship at Thibodeau High School, and makes that catch at the end, ends up winning it. So for LSU, the big change has been they've played much better on defense, front seven, and that's all about Swinson. That's all about Whit Weeks.
Mike, I want to ask you about Alabama. South Carolina unranked. You were a 21.5-point favorite against these guys. You beat them by 2 points. It came down to a moment that they were trying to push overtime after the onside kick. Any thoughts on this Alabama football team?
Well, Alabama's issues got similarities to LSU. Their secondary is not real good. I mean, South Carolina don't have the best wide receiver group, in the SEC. And they had people wide open. It was a high school open. It wasn't no college open. It was high school open. Brian, you got to fix that. And again, it goes back to that mentality of next man up. Next man, he ain't Darian Arnold, he ain't Kool-Aid McKinstry, and you lost a guy that's pretty doggone good safety, transfer portal. It's tough to replace those defensive backs. And look, LSU, they went to South Carolina and squeaked by with a field goal, and South Carolina had a chance to tie it late in the game and missed the field goal. So, man, SEC football, there ain't no gimmies. Now, I tell this to LSU fans this week, you play in Arkansas, you can ride high on the hog for a couple days, so to speak. But you better get yourself ready to play Arkansas. Because LSU, those games against Arkansas have really been physical, really tough. But, man, just to see the receivers open like that I haven't seen at Alabama. I haven't. And you see a little bit of a roller coaster ride with Jalen. Now, that play at the end, everybody's crowding the line of scrimmage thinking they're going to run it and try to run the clock out, and he pops that pass over the middle to the side. That was a hell of a play call, a great play. But, Jalen throws a little bit of the wave also. And I see with Alabama's offensive line, that has some similarities to LSU, where they've been able to pass block pretty well at times. Run blocking's been spotty. It really has been spotty. So I look at both teams. There's a lot of similarities between both of them.
Mike, what do you think about Alabama going on the road against Tennessee on the road? I mean, the early start for Tennessee, Josh Heupel, here we go, buckle up. This is going to be Tennessee's year, and it's kind of drifted as of late.
Well, quarterback play. And Nico was great early on. He looked like a future star, and he might be. But he's hit the rough patch in the road at quarterback. And so when you're not hitting those big plays like they had hit upon early, it's not quite the same. Now, their defense front seven is legit. They are really good, that front seven. And they got depth. Now, they lost a lot of people to graduation and some transfers. If I'm Alabama, I'm going after them secondary-wise, because that's where I think you can make a little hay. And I've watched Tennessee, and I look at what Josh has done. In a lot of ways, his offense is similar to Lane Kiffin. Everybody talks about how well they throw the ball, but what they do real well too, they run it. They run the football, and so it's all about stopping the run for Alabama and force Nico to make the throw. Force him to be the guy to make that throw. And secondly, for Bama, I would attack that secondary of Tennessee.
There's some money to be made.
I'm just telling you, there's a little bit of a crack in the vase. A little bit of a crack in the vase of Tennessee. But, Brian, that front seven on defense, it is really good. Really, really good. You're going to have trouble running the ball against them. Now, I think you can throw it on their secondary. But
Mike, you said running the football. We hadn't seen a rushing attack around here in quite a while. We are it's struggling.
And so, but you got to try, Ryan. You got to try it, because if all you're going to do is wing it, man, I'm going to play coverage. And teams are doing that to LSU. They're saying, okay, I dare you to run it. I dare you to do it. And Ole Miss sort of did that. I dare you to run it. And LSU tried, but they couldn't run it again. And, man, Walter Nolan was just terrific in that game, clogging up everything. So the key here is going to be to stop Tennessee's rushing attack and let the young quarterback, and he might do it, but I'd force him to be the one to beat me. And secondly, if there's a crack in that defense, it's in the secondary for the Volunteers. I would throw it on them. I can get protection. I'd throw it on them.
Right now, we're talking with Mike Detillier. Mike, let's talk about Georgia, Texas. Georgia goes out there. It seems like Texas is the cream of the crop. What do you think?
In watching Texas, years ago, they'd have put me away if I'd have said this. But where they really look good, Brian, is up front. They went in the trenches. Everybody talks about yours and little Arch, and they got some dynamic. Run the football. You know where they're really good? Up front.
And see, I thought with Bo Davis going to LSU.
Man, they are going to all play in the NFL. Every one of them. And they got depth at running back, at wide receiver, at tight end. Quinn, I thought he got off to a little bit of a slow start. Not going to understand that. He hadn't played in a couple of weeks. But then he heated up. And, he sort of picked them apart against OU. Their defensive line, to think about it, you lose the first-round pick in Murphy, and then you lose the big man. He goes to the Titans in the second round. I wondered how good their defensive line would be. And you lose who I think is the best defensive line coach in college football, Bo Davis.
Yeah, I saw a video last night, Mike. Listen, I'm 200 and about 3 pounds. I felt like I was a defensive tackle. I mean, coaching up that he does at LSU. I mean, he was pleading with them, asking them to get in the portal. I'm sure you saw the video, man. It was awesome. I'm just like, oh my Lord, this fires me up, man. We loved him here in Tuscaloosa.
And he loved his stay in Alabama. He still talks about that a lot. Talking to him. He still remembers those days.
Hey, we'll trade you, Mike. I mean, we'll even throw in a tackle to boot or something. I mean, we got to.
You better talk to Coach Kelly about that. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's going to work real well. But he's done a fantastic job. He really, really has, and he doesn't have a tremendous amount of talent. So at LSU up front. And he squeezed every bit of vitamin C he could out of this orange. But we always sort of laugh a little bit because he does bring up, he talks much more about Alabama than he did about Texas. It's sort of funny, but I guess you remember those days. But he's such a good guy in life, and covered him as a player, and then to see his development, as a coach, just fantastic. And so I think when you look at it across the board, Texas is really good in the trenches. You couldn't have said that 5-6 years ago. They weren't a good team up front. They had skilled people, but they weren't good, matching up. And now they match up. There's no better quarterback group in the country than what they got. None. With Quinn and with Arch, and they got a bevy of backs. I was talking to Archie Manning in Manning camp, and he had told me, Mike, man, the hardest thing is which one of them you're not going to play. Which one you're not going to play? Because he's like, man, do they have some running backs? And he said they all pretty good receivers coming out of the backfield. So Texas wins. To me, Texas looks like a touchdown favorite, better than what Georgia is. Georgia has really struggled throwing the football on a consistent basis with Beck. That has surprised me because he certainly's got the talent. It just has not meshed real well. Ryan, I'm going to ask you, when you think about it, and it happened to LSU, it happened to Alabama. When you lose that many people early to the draft, like Georgia has, especially on defense, I think it whittles away not only as your starting group, but also your second team. Was there any team better 2 or 3 years ago, talent, depth, than what Georgia had on defense?
No.
They were dominating.
Look, watch the NFL. Watch the NFL. Those dudes are on the NFL. I mean, we saw one last night with was it last night or was it Sunday night that the linebacker was filling in? Trying to think where it was at. It may have been Sunday Night Football. I mean, the guy was like a backup, and he plugged him in, and he was just all over the field. Some of the games kind of run together for the weekend, but I mean, Georgia just loaded. I mean, they were loaded, and
but not anymore.
Not anymore.
See that Pete and I talked about that, and he's like, Mike, that's the good and the bad. You recruit well. Those guys, some of them are kind of 1-year wonders. They start as a junior. Their backups as freshmen, sophomores start as a junior. They look well. They go into the pros. He said, it's just part of the system. And, LSU's went through it. Alabama's going through it. Same sort of thing. You lose them early. And when you look at what it does to not only your starting group, but your twos, it does have an effect. They don't have as much talent, and they don't have as much depth on defense. Front seven-wise, where they were dominant than even 3 years ago. And it's made a big change. Texas has that today. They have that element today that Georgia had a couple years ago. And Georgia's still a good football team. But right now, man, I don't know who you would put else in that spot. Maybe Oregon. And I'm not sure Oregon goes up against Texas and wins. Right now, that game was today. Texas is beating Oregon.
I mean, think about the two that have spent a lot of money. And I said in part of my mind here, when you look at some of these struggles around college football, because you have to look at your boosters in the offseason and say, if you want us to keep up, it's all on you. You gotta pass the plate again, and then they pass the plate, and they're like, hold on a minute. Now, you saw what Oregon and Texas did in Ohio State. If you want to be there, you better pass the plate, because that's what it takes to compete now in college football. Money. It always did, but more so now.
Yeah, but it's even more. And that director of sports operations, he comes to the Manning camp every year, and they only have to pass the collection plate to one guy at Oregon. Okay. Phil Knight. And Phil has made it clear, I want to win a national championship in football before I die.
Yeah.
Now, Phil's in his 80s. So he hears that clock sort of ticking a little bit. And he made it known that whatever it takes financially, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. You tell me what you need, and I'll help you. We visited Oregon 5 years ago on campus. I thought Texas had facilities. This is the Taj Mahal. Anybody who's ever been to University of Oregon and seen their sports complex, they ain't nothing like it, Brian. Nothing like it. It's unbelievable to see this complex that they have there at University of Oregon. And it's fueled by Phil Knight, okay? And, some people get mad. Well, man, he can give that money here and there. Well, he earned it, and so he can do what the hell he wants with his money. We live in a society today, people want to tell you what to do with your money, which it's crazy. I know they ain't telling me what to do with mine, but they got people that try to tell me certain things about my money. And I feel like Phil, I'm going to do what the hell I want with it. And his deal is he wants to put Oregon at another level. And they have it in track, and then I grew up with that, with Prefontaine, because he was sort of the star. If you were a long-distance runner, which I was back then, you couldn't tell today, but I was, man, Pre was the guy. That's the guy that you wanted to be like. And what Oregon did now, it's across the board, in baseball, basketball, football now. It's amazing how, Phil's dream of making Oregon so relevant in so many sports has come true. Amazing.
Mike, I always want to thank you, man, for being a part of our show. We always enjoy picking your brain about college football each and every week. I hope you have an awesome show this afternoon on WWL, the Big 870. And just think, we're a couple of weeks away, and we'll be talking about Alabama and LSU. So we're keeping an eye on the Tigers. I'm sure you guys are keeping an eye on what's happening here in Tuscaloosa. Man, I appreciate you always being a part of our show, Mike. Have a great show this afternoon.
I tell people, worry about Alabama the week of Alabama. You better take care of Arkansas.
We get a bye week. We get a bye week in there, so we get 2 weeks to talk about the Tigers.
That's true. That's true. But, man, I tell people all the time, be careful because, man, that was all the talk, press box, after the game about Alabama. My thing is, man, I'm worried about going to Arkansas and playing A&M. You got to take care of business. And this is the SEC. You just can't roll them out there. You think you might be able to, but you're going to get caught if that's your mentality. And Brian Kelly has made it clear that's his mentality, too. We're worried about whoever down the road. We got to take care of business this weekend against Arkansas. That has always been a very physical, tough, close game between the two.
Mike, I appreciate you, man. Hope you have a great show this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it, bud.
Thank you. Mike Detillier, always fun to pick his brain. We're coming back. We're doing score predictions right here on the game presented by Southern Ale House. I do remind you about the Wharf. If you're looking for a new pair of boots, Justin, Tony Lama, Red Wing, Georgia, Double H, Timberline, Laredo, and many more. Open until 6 p.m. McFarland Boulevard. You pass by El Grande. You go past on the right-hand side of the road as you travel westbound. If you went to the Blue Plate, turn around, you've went too far in the newly renovated shopping center. It is the Wharf, the work and Western wear for the entire family. And this morning, when I let the old dog out, she better not hear I say old dog. She's only 2.5. Well, she'll be 3, I think, in November, so probably a little closer to 3 than she is 2. But it was a good old 43 degrees. Woo! It kind of felt a little refreshing in the world of college football. You can find the cold weather apparel right there at the Wharf. If you're camo, I know you guys are out there throwing sticks at deer. You need some camo. I don't throw sticks at deer. You know why I don't throw sticks at deer? Too many no-shoulders out there for me. No thanks. No thanks. So kill them all. I'm talking about the snakes. Save us a few deer for all of us gun guys. Even though I don't own a gun, I have to borrow one. But, hey, it'll be fun when we get it to November, right?
Is that legal in Kamala's America?
It is. Yeah, no, it is. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But, I got a couple of really nice buddies, and they'll loan me guns to get through hunting season. So that's all I need. But, never know. I mean, crossbow would be unlimited ammo, right? That'd be one benefit. You never know. I mean, she may take the gun away and the bow too. Pocket knife, butcher knife.
You're gonna have to go out there and strangle them with your hands. Maybe that's their plan.
The good thing is she's drifting in the poles, but you got to keep your foot on the gas. Don't do like Alabama, Georgia from a couple of weeks ago. Don't rest at halftime. Just keep your foot on the gas. Keep your foot on the gas. I mean, he's got a lot of faults of his own, but hey, better than the alternative. Better than the alternative. You don't believe me? Look at the stock market. All right, so we'll continue right here. Do invite you to go see our friends over there, get some cold weather apparel, the Justin, the Tony Lama, the Red Wings of the Georgia, Double H, Timberline, Laredo, many more, 60 different brands of boots. We'll dive into a couple different things with you guys right here on a score prediction. So we welcome you right back into the game. It is thestandardbama.com, home of the 20-inch pizza pie, pepperoni, meat lovers, cheese. Design your own. Thestandardbama.com. You can find wings. You can find boneless wings. You can find the cheese sticks. You can find the mac and cheese bites. Thestandardbama.com. University Boulevard, full-service restaurant available via carryout or available by delivery via DoorDash. You can find thestandardbama.com. Let's continue. We're going to take phone calls right here, and we go to Bubba in Northport. Bubba, you lead us out. I hope all is well.
It's all well. Can I rant today a little bit?
No.
Can I do that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to get something off my chest.
Well, that's the off season. Free for All Friday, sponsored by Brian Hart Construction.
No,
can you not save it until then?
No, this needs to go right now.
All right. Well, then
there's a particular caller. I'm not going to name their name. They called into Miller Days today and complaining about, they're worried about this, saying terrible things about the coaching staff and how come this guy ain't playing and all that. If this is the new college game. It ain't going to be none of these featured and other games anymore. They're gone. History. If you can't live with that, find you another team to go to. But stop it, please. And you know who you are. There, I said all I needed to say.
Roll Tide. Well, I missed. I listened to some, but I wasn't able to catch all of it. So maybe I was, maybe.
I'm sure he's listening now. I don't care if he gets mad at me or not. I really don't care. But I'm tired of people being these fair weather fans. You're either on board or you're not. It's that simple.
Was he just having an opinion, or was he jumping off the ship?
Well, for one thing, he picked Tennessee to win, which it is his opinion.
Well, what's his name, Bubba? We're
I don't want to say Pat. I'll say it, Pat. I said it.
Okay, so you're ready to throw Pat? Okay, well, all right. Well, Pat, take that.
Well, no, he's throwing everybody. He's throwing the team under the bus. So
Pat, you got to straighten up, man. Come on, Pat.
The boy, I'm taking up for you. Don't let me down.
Okay. All right, Bubba. Here we go. I need a score prediction, but before we do that, I need a tiebreaker.
I was thinking, I was thinking about a couple of things, actually. We could go, we all know what the rushing needs to do. We could go total Alabama rushing yards.
Lord,
we could go total. We could go total yards for Tennessee, or total combined yards, for Alabama.
Oh, you want me to do the math? Okay, I got you. I'll tell you what. Let's look at rushing offense and defense. Let's just look at some numbers here. Okay.
Okay.
Let's go rushing offense. Oh, Lord have mercy. Alabama's 51st in the country. We average 179 yards per game. Tennessee only gives up 79.67 as far as total. Wow. 2.2 yard average. They're second in the country in average yards per attempt with fewest yards per attempt. Oh, man. I like the first one that you said, rushing yards for Alabama, because we need to establish the run a little bit.
We do.
12.
And this is my opinion on the
SEC?
game. Right. This is my opinion on the game. Our best defense is going to be our offense.
Yeah, and Wyatt says they're 12th in the league, but they're 51st in the country. And I was referring to national rushing defense. They're number 2 overall with yards per attempt. And if you want to look at yards per game, they're 5th in the country. So Mississippi, believe it or not, old Pete over there is he knows how to stop the run.
He does that. You know what he ran most of the night? A nickel, a 4.25.
I bet his DBs can't get their head around, but that's okay. It's not important. But,
right.
Hey, Tony Franklin at 3:30 is going to explain some issues with Alabama's offense and maybe some of the reasons why. I love the rushing attack. I like what you said, Bama rushing.
Right. And I think our best defense is going to be our offense, keeping Tennessee off the field.
Okay.
Moving the chains.
All right.
I'm not saying abandon. If the big plays there, of course, take it. But it's not. Try to run it. Run it down their throat.
Run that ball.
That's what
Run that ball. All right, here we go.
My score?
Yes, sir.
Is going to be 31-17, Bama.
Okay, I was about to say Tennessee. Okay, I didn't know if you were going to pick Tennessee after that rant.
No. I don't care what the prize is. I'm not picking against Alabama.
Okay, so simply, I said this on national Fox Sports Radio on Saturday night. that Alabama fans would take. They would take Bama against Jesus and the 12 disciples. I mean, if Paul was out at wide receiver and John was over here, Bama, they would take Bama. Jesus would have to be the quarterback, right?
I listened to that show Saturday night. It was a good show.
Peter's a headhunter at middle linebacker. He'll take a year off.
Yeah.
Torres don't sound nothing like he does on your show. Totally different voice.
31-17 total yards for Bama rushing. 275. What was it? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to go. I'm very confident.
Well, okay.
I'm going to go 197. 197.
So you're saying more
I think Milrose's going to get some of that.
All right. 197.
I think Milrose. Yeah, that's 20 yards, so more than the average. I mean, I'm going to hit it. I'm going to hit it anyway, so I ain't going to need the tiebreaker. So.
All right. Roll Tide to you. Man. Appreciate you, Bubba. Have a great rest of your day, man. Paul and Lincoln, get ready. We're going to come to you on the other side. We're doing a Southern Ale House score prediction day. Southern Ale House Dockside, which was closed yesterday. They're open for dinner today, dinner tomorrow, lunch and dinner on Thursday, lunch and dinner on Friday, lunch and dinner on Saturday, and then brunch until 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. You can come via car or boat up on Lake Tuscaloosa Marina Drive. If you're looking for the original location, 1530 McFarland Boulevard, Monday through Saturday, lunch and dinner options at Southern Ale House. All that great Southern cuisine. You'll find some great fish and taters. The pepper jelly burger now a part of the daily menu. Yes, sir, absolutely. All right, we welcome you right back into the game. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. We're always presented by Tuscaloosa Toyota, and we're doing a score prediction day presented by Southern Ale House. We do have our winner. This guy is not he calls often, but not as often as some. Is that a little bit of a hint? So if you're out there listening and you don't go by your real name, I'll put that out there. I mean, there's no way that this guy's name is just not a name that you would go by. Okay, I mean this is a radio name. My name is Ryan, Ryan Fowler. I promise it's on my birth certificate. It was my parents gave it to me. So this one I don't think his parents gave to him, but he sounds like the character that he goes by. I'll leave it at that. Okay. Starts with an A, ends with an F. It's got an L sandwiched in there. All right. I'm just putting it out there. Paul and Lincoln was close. He had a good score prediction. Paul, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
Embrace the suck, Ryan.
That's right. We do. And that is SAUCK.
SAUCK. And the AU stands for the Auburn Tigers.
Bless their little heart. Bless their little heart. They are. And what does it say about that program? That they're in a situation right now where as chaotic as football is in the world of college football that we live in, and they can't even be competitive.
Well, it's because they've got a snake doctor as their head coach.
Oh, you think it could be karma?
Well, he's a swindler. I mean, this guy's a used car salesman. This guy is a shyster, man. I just, I think, say what you want to say. I think karma kind of follows you,
What goes over the duck's back has got to come back up under his belly. That's my old man used to say that all the time.
So, and it couldn't happen to a better, or listen, the two most hated football programs for me are obviously it's the Auburn Tigers and the Tennessee Volunteers. But I'm telling you, it's a photo finish between them two and Auburn. Auburn's got them by a nose. I'm like you. I remember when Roy Kramer and the Pillsbury Doughboy, Fat Phil Fulmer, and the late Tennessee Stud. I mean, what they did, or what they almost did to this program, Ryan. I mean, they tried their best to put Alabama out of business, out of the football business, and they came dang close to doing it. So that's really where my disdain for Tennessee. I never really liked them, but it ramped up to a red hot level after that. So, and that's why I love beating them so bad. I really,
so if you
really
could put your arm around Kalen DeBoer, put your arm around him and say, Coach, I want to tell you something about Tennessee, what would you say?
I would tell him that there is a certain core group of the Alabama fan base that think that this game is the most important game on the schedule. Not Auburn. Now that's not me, but there is a large group of fans, probably my age, that still the Tennessee game weighs heavier than the Auburn game when it comes to Alabama football. So I just tell him, you know, this is a way of life at Alabama. You know, Tennessee is the third Saturday in October. This game is absolutely littered with tradition. It goes way back. This is one of the most storied rivalries in college football. And in the last 20 years, this game the hatred has ramped up. And it came bubbling to the surface in October of 2022 in Knoxville, Tennessee, when the Tennessee Volunteers hung 52 points on a Nick Saban / Pete Golding coach defense. 52 points. Yes, 52 points. And this game, I would tell him, Coach, there's a couple of games on the schedule that just mean more when you're an Alabama fan, and this is one of them. And just tell him I'd just leave it at that. And
well, I described it this way. You described it as hate, and I hate them. There's no doubt. But I said 48-7, 2 minutes to go. You're on the 2-yard line. They don't have any timeouts. You drive it down their freaking throat, and then you go and kick an onside kick and try to get the ball again.
Yeah. Listen, you try to put as many nails in their coffin as you can. You do. So Ryan, I've been thinking about this. I mean, and listen, we got to come to. Oh no. We got to get. Oh no. Today. We got to get to today.
Oh no. Oh
well,
no.
Listen.
I can. No, Paul, don't do it. Don't do it.
No. Well, just let me finish. I've been thinking about this game, and I know our buddy Bubba picked 31-17 Bama. I don't think there's any way possible that this Alabama defense can keep Tennessee from scoring. To keep Tennessee scoring only 17 points.
Okay.
I would be surprised if Alabama could keep them from scoring over 30 points. And I'm being honest with you. I looked at the SEC schedule that these two teams have played so far this year, and Tennessee is averaging 22 points a game offensively. Alabama is averaging 34 points a game offensively. But Alabama is averaging giving up 31 points a game, and Tennessee's averaging giving up 17. So, and I agree with Tatilia. I think Tennessee certainly has the better defense. Certainly along the defensive front, I think they're better than we are. Maybe the secondary is a wash. But Ryan, I'm telling you, for Alabama to win, we need to score any way possible. I mean, if it means we have to throw the ball 55 times, throw it 55 times. I mean, we have not run the ball worth a crap.
No. No, and I'm
really all year.
Don't miss
and
the
most of that average, that 179-yard average is probably Jalen Milroe, and he's taking a pounding, you know.
I don't know how much you can take. I mean, right now he's one touchdown away from all of his rushing touchdowns from last year. It just explains.
Yeah,
I mean, he had 12 last year. He's got 11 right now.
Yeah, and listen, that's a part of this offense that, to me, for this offense to be elite, you need his leg.
Yep.
You need that threat of him being able to run the ball. So yeah, this is I think this is going to be a game of emotions, momentum. Ryan, it would surprise me that it's a similar game to 2 years ago up there. Really, because I don't see Alabama's defense holding Tennessee under 30 points. I really don't. So anyway.
Oh Lord! I mean, I've got my pen and piece of paper ready, and I'm
all right.
All right, Paul. Now, I will tell you before you give it your prediction. I did look at ESPN. This is an unbiased projection. They've got Alabama at a 53.7% chance to win it. 46.3 is for Tennessee. They also have this lines moved on up a little bit. Alabama's minus the 3 now.
Yeah. Well, I just know Josh Heupel is put on a master class 2 years ago at scheming Alabama's defense up. I mean, what they had one receiver score 5 touchdowns on us. So Heupel he'll scheme us up. I mean, it's just what he does. I'm hoping Nick Sheridan and Coach DeBoer can do the same with against their defense, but we shall see.
All right. With that being said, Paul, what do you want to go?
Yeah. Give me Tennessee 41, Alabama 45.
Man, I was nervous. 45-41, Bama rushing yards.
153.
Okay. You know, and I was thinking about this earlier, Paul. Our buddy Dawson, you know.
Oh, yeah.
He always struggled with tight games. I don't know what he'd be saying about right now, but I'd love to hear it.
Well, he would. This was one of the games that, Dawson said every game was important, but you could kind of tell as the senior citizen of your show, this Tennessee game meant something to him.
It did. Yep.
As it does for all of us, but I think this game was something really special to him, and I'm sure he's looking down, and he'll have a bird's eye view. Put it that way. He'll probably have the best view in the house. How about that?
Hey, I love it, Paul. Appreciate you, man. Roll Tide.
Okay, buddy. Roll Tide and roll MAGA.
Thank you. Paul and Lincoln helping us out. Let's continue with more phone calls, and we'll continue right here. Let's go to Robert in Mobile. Robert, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
Hey, man.
How are you, Robert?
I have to admit, for a minute, I was thinking the Alabama may be the underdog in this game for the first time in, the first year of Nick Saban? It was looking kind of dicey there. Still pretty as tight as it's been since the first year of Nick Saban, I would think. I can't remember the last time Tennessee's been less than a 3-point underdog to Alabama. What's it, 2.5 now?
Well, I just looked and it's up to 3.
Oh, so it's made back up to 3? Yeah, I was expecting Alabama to, maybe a 2-point underdog or something like that.
And think about this. I mean, you've got 3 points for home field advantage. So Vegas truly thinks Alabama's a better football team.
Yeah,
if you really, like a neutral field, this game would be probably about a 6 based on the odds right now.
Yeah, I guess Tennessee slid back a bit with their play recently. But so is Alabama. So it's a pick 'em game almost. I would figure 3 points is almost a pick 'em. It's it's not a whole lot of spread between either team. Like you said, just field goal difference at the most. She said that guy do the Tennessee hate. That was way back in 2006.
I think it was. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know it was that long ago.
And that was
still get a kick out
that
of
was
it.
them rough days, man. That was them rough days.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, when they used to win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, last time we went up there, they got us. Officiating was a huge part of it, and man, oh man, oh man. But I left a voicemail yesterday for the SEC office. I'm sure you heard it. But,
they could definitely use some voices because the officiating is definitely not just in the Alabama game. There's been a couple of games where it's left a lot to be desired.
I didn't use my real name, but yeah. That bunch, we need to have a clean officiated game. Come on, guys.
Yeah, it was amazing when Alabama did the game against the Big Ten. That was a much smoother game.
It was.
You felt, it was ridiculous.
Operationally, it was.
Better than ours.
It was.
Yeah, so the SEC need to fix some things. Not just been Alabama. Like I said, was South Carolina got hosed in a game? Was South Carolina got hosed in a game?
They were.
When for a flag that shouldn't have been called?
I mean, let's start with who has not been hosed. That might be where we start. I mean, when you look at the SEC.
Yeah, really?
I know they're humans.
Texas?
But, man, Texas would be out here going, hey, we're okay. Maybe they paid them off. Maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. We complain about Alabama, but everybody's in the SEC is complaining about their team, except basically so Vanderbilt. And I guess Texas isn't right now complaining about their team. But, yeah, Texas and Vanderbilt, I can think of the only two SEC teams where the fans are complaining about the play calling or the way the team's playing. And so, it's just one of those seasons, like you said, it's the new college football. I mean, it's just something we got to get used to. It's going to be more like the NFL, which it does make for exciting games. I mean, you have to admit that. You never know what you're going to see.
Yeah, I would imagine TV ratings have got to be the first, because we're at the midpoint now. You're 6 weeks into the regular season. You would think that TV ratings would just be off the charts.
Yeah, I mean, you've already seen several upsets. And, again, look at Oregon and Ohio State. A couple of years ago, there'd have been a cakewalk for Ohio State. Now they lose it. And again, we keep bringing up Alabama and Vanderbilt. But, it is what it is. That's how college football is now, and it's not. It says it's not good for us because we were used to dominating. But you do see a lot of good games now, which is what, that's, I mean, that is an advantage. You have to watch all these games, and because it's not going to be the same team, which is one of the criticisms used to amaze me when I would hear people call your show saying, we don't need to expand the playoff. It's always going to be the same 14. Nobody cares about number 8 or number 12. I said, okay, yeah. You wait till NIL kicks in and these teams start buying players, and you'll start caring about number 12. Does anybody really think the number 12 team has zero chance of winning the championship? Absolute zero? Now? I don't think so. So, yeah, it's even out real quick. Even if that number 12 team is Vanderbilt. Anybody think that number 12 Vanderbilt team has no chance of winning the national championship?
Well, maybe Vandy will win out. We'll win out. We'll see you guys in Atlanta for a rematch game.
That would sure be great. But it's on the table.
Yeah,
it's on the table. It is possible. That is not impossible.
Well, I know. I bought a lottery ticket last night. I mean, even though we don't sell them in the state of Alabama. But all right, Robert. Here we go. Alabama, Tennessee. Where you want to go?
Well, I can never pick against Alabama. It just kills me if I even try. So
you feel
definitely
guilty.
Alabama.
You feel dirty on the inside. I know the feeling.
It may come to that point one day, if the slide continues, the trend downward continues.
We always pick 10-2 or 9-3 or 11-1, and then when we get to the week, it is like undefeated, baby. We're not losing to Tennessee. No, we're not losing to Tennessee. So
yeah. So definitely Alabama. Oh, man, it's just which Alabama team's going to show up. Yikes. That's 30-25. No, that's a weird number, 24.
All right, 24. So 24, I got it. 32-24, Alabama. Bama rushing yards against
30-24.
I'm sorry. My bad. That's why I repeat it. You always catch me. 30-24, right. Bama rushing yards.
Yeah, again, where the Alabama team is going to show up. Man, I picked a big number last time and it didn't work out too hot. I'm going to go 155.
155. I got you, Robert. I appreciate you, man. I hope you have a great rest of your day, man.
Catch you later.
Hey, we got Tony Franklin coming up in about 15 minutes in Tuscaloosa. T-Town Tide at 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. About an hour ago, so no, we should have hit it a little bit ago, but a former Alabama star, Amari Cooper, headed to the Buffalo Bills, and get out of Cleveland Browns organization is probably good for Amari Cooper and certainly good for my fantasy football team because I got a lot of Alabama guys on there. Right now, let's go to Coach Tony Franklin. He's a guy that can help us understand college football. It is CoachTF.com. You can find it there. Learn a lot about college football if you want to go to the deep end of the pool. And, Coach, welcome back to Tuscaloosa. I hope you're having a great day, sir.
Thank you, Ryan. Hope you're well.
Coach, I want to ask you about a lot of college football, but just kind of give me your general thoughts. We talked to you about a month ago. We're 6 weeks in at the midpoint of the season. Give me your thoughts around maybe a generic question around college football. What do you see?
It's crazier than it's ever been. I don't know if it will ever be what most of us can remember about college football because I think that for the first time that I can ever remember, an average football team can beat a, quote, great football team. And I don't think that I've ever seen that before. On any given week, and I didn't think going into this season that somebody like Georgia would be vulnerable. I didn't think that Alabama, of course, would be vulnerable to Vanderbilt. But after watching everything and paying attention to everything that's going on, I just think that the entire industry has so dramatically changed, which to me makes it more exciting than it's ever been. I've enjoyed Saturdays more than I've ever enjoyed as a fan because you really, truly can flip over to any game and you might see something that is historical, such as the Vandy, Alabama game, and those things are going to become more common.
How frustrating would it be from a coaching perspective, or am I putting the wrong word in there?
Well, it depends on where you are.
Sure.
If you're at Vanderbilt, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I mean, everybody has a chance because the formula is different. You take what Vandy has done. First of all, when New Mexico State went, they didn't beat Auburn. They physically humiliated Auburn. They whipped their butts at Jordan-Hare. And I watched Diego Pavia, and I said, if Auburn was brilliant, smart, that's the guy they would go after for their portal quarterback because he's special. He's unique. Well, Vanderbilt did one better than that. Not only did they go after him, but they got Jerry Kill, they got Coach Beck, the OC, and they got a bunch of other guys from that team who had something about them that was unique and different. So it's not necessarily going to the portal and getting Alabama's second teamer, Texas's third teamer, and building it that way. If you're smart, you go down to these programs that have nothing, no assets, no money, find their best players, get those guys, and the next thing you know, you have the potential to upset Alabama, which is mind-blowing. I know what it's like to go to Vanderbilt and to lose. I'm fired on Wednesday after that as a coach at Auburn. And Vanderbilt that year was 5-0, and ranked in the top 20 for the first time in, 8 million years, but it didn't matter. You just don't, that's not acceptable. Well, Alabama now finds out that it can happen to them, which nobody ever thought that it could. I had a feeling about Vanderbilt a few weeks ago. If I'd been a gambler, I'd have bet my life on Vanderbilt to beat Missouri. Now, they didn't win, but they should have won. And when they went to Alabama, I thought, you know what? I know it sounds crazy. It feels weird, but I actually think they've got a chance, especially coming off of the Alabama-Georgia deal. So it just depends on where you are. If you're an Alabama fan, it's a nightmare for college football. But if you're a fan at any other place in the country besides, your elite top 5 schools, it's the greatest time in the world to be a fan.
Let me ask you, when you look at Alabama, I want to ask you about this rushing attack, because going into this Tennessee game, Alabama's not been able to run the football outside of really Jalen Milroe. When you substitute his rushing total, Alabama just cannot rush the football with a lot of success. I'd love to you to maybe analyze this as an offensive-minded guy.
Well, I like what they do, but I think that they're missing an important ingredient, which is power football. Most of their run game is off of, if they're running to running backs, it's off of the zone game. Even if they run a power concept, sometimes they leave their edges to where that an edge pressure can stop the play. I think that every now and then, and I've had this theory for the last several years, is that defenses have gotten small. They're fast. They're 3-man fronts. When they get small, you got to get big. Just the opposite of how I made my career, that people don't realize from the year of 2011, 2012, we became great because we were trendy and that we were tempo, fast, 4 wide, et cetera. But we might be in a power set with 3 backs, 6 O-linemen, 7 O-linemen for 20 snaps in a game, and just cram the ball down your throat and get one-on-ones. That's something that Alabama's not doing that they need to do. They need to line up, because the backs are good. I mean, it's not like they're not good players. They're really good players. And if you're going to be in a 4-wide set, or you're going to do a true zone read, you're not going to block the backside and the QB is going to read, then they're going to make the quarterback pull. And Alabama needs to have just some old-fashioned, old-school, to be honest with you, they need to do some stuff like what Vandy does, where you get in a big set and you just say, you know what, we're going to take the ball right now, we're going to stick it down your throat and see if you can stop us. And then you get one-on-one outside on the edges with no safety help, and you can win your one-on-ones. I mean, Ryan Williams is the best one-on-one guy in football right now, and they can double him because of Alabama's formations. Alabama needs to get bigger, where they can go, we're going to force the ball, we're going to cram it down your throat, and then when you play one-on-one against our great receivers, then we'll work our one-on-one route combos.
Coach, let me take the defensive side of the football. When you look at it from an offensive perspective, how would you attack this defensive side of the football for the Crimson Tide?
I'd stick it right down their throat. The thing I saw against Vanderbilt, which just shocked me, was I saw players turn it down. I saw players avoid contact. I saw players find a way to not get there to make the tackle. And I was just blown away. Now, don't get me wrong. When you get hit in the mouth enough, you can be the toughest guy in the world running free. Like a lot of times fans will watch and they'll see a guy make a big hit. A DB will make a big hit, a receiver's coming across the middle, or he's got his back turned, and they'll make a big hit. And they'll go, oh, my God, that guy's tough. No, that doesn't take toughness to do that. Toughness is when you got a guy running down your throat, and you've had to come up and hit him 6, 7, 8 times, and he's running right through you and ripping a forearm through your throat. And on the 12th time he does it, you're still going in and delivering everything that you got. That's toughness. That's what I didn't see for Alabama. I saw guys trying to find a way to avoid contact, and that is alarming no matter who you are, no matter where you are, because I've seen defenses that think they're good and everybody thinks they're good because they've got better players, and then they go out and they hit people in the mouth and they get all frisky and the momentum builds and all that stuff. That's not a great defense. A great defense is when somebody's pounding it down your throat. They're hitting you in the mouth, and you keep coming and delivering the blow one after one after one after one. That's what's uncommon in football anymore because the game has changed so dramatically, is you had to recruit athletes to play positions that could run and they can cover in space. That's a different type of linebacker than what used to be playing linebacker or what used to be playing safety. It's just a different game. And so, Vanderbilt and what they've done there in building that offense is they've made people play. You want to play Vanderbilt? You better load up. You better grab your jockstrap and you better tie it up twice because they're going to hit you in the mouth and they're going to keep hitting you in the mouth. And they got a quarterback that you don't want to meet on a dead-end street at 1 o'clock in the morning because if you do, he's going to whip your ass.
Right now we're talking with Coach Tony Franklin. Coach, can you establish that 6 games in, a toughness component that Alabama could be missing on the defensive side of the ball?
It's hard. And establishing it is one thing. It's almost always a recruiting and then a culture thing. So, for example, you take the Detroit Lions. Okay. The thing that they've got is that they've got a culture that's based on a head coach that a lot of people in the beginning thought, this is phony. It's not going to work in the NFL. Guys are not going to buy in. And what they did was that they hung with them while they're losing, and they're getting rid of everybody that doesn't buy into that culture. And eventually, you don't make it with the Lions if you ain't one bad dude. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to lose a game. Doesn't mean they're not going to get their butt whipped. But I'll tell you one thing. They better crank it up because when they walk back in and face that head coach and they face practice, it's going to be a unique aspect. And Andy Reid has been able to do it in Kansas City. And it's just unusual. So can Alabama do it? I don't know. I mean, I love DeBoer. I loved him at Washington. I've loved his entire career. I love him as a coach. I love what he's done in places that can't do it. I love the whole thing, and I'm pulling for him. I want it to work. But the standard is so uniquely different at Alabama that, not winning a national championship is considered a failure. And it's the worst time in the world to take the Alabama job because, number one, you're replacing the greatest coach of all time. But number two, you're also coming in to a completely different set of rules and the way that college football works. So it is, I look at the schedule, and Alabama literally could lose almost every game that they've got left, with the exception of Mercer. Everybody on the schedule could beat them that's left on the schedule, every single team. Now, they also could win every game, but they've proven that defensively they've got enough problems that if they go out and throw a complete egg on offense, which almost every year offenses do, is that the defense can't cover them.
Coach, I want to ask you about scout team because we talk about depth so often, and we see it on the first and second string when an injury goes down, the quality's just not there. How does this impact scout team, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practice, get ready for Saturday afternoon?
Well, I heard somebody say this the other day, and I don't remember who it was, but I thought it made a lot of sense. The thing that's really happened to the Alabamas, the Georgias, when you look at how upset Kirby was last week, playing a bad Mississippi State offense, I mean, a really bad offense that would have trouble scoring out on the field by themselves, and all of a sudden Georgia can't get a stop. Well, what's happened is that the depth at the twos and the depth at the threes is not there anymore because those guys are leaving. Those guys are going somewhere else. They're getting a better deal somewhere else, or they just want to play and they want to start and they want to have a better shot at the NFL. And so they go somewhere else. And so nobody is going to have the depth that they once had. That backup is going to be somewhere else.
And so it's just a different game. That's why I said the people that figure this out are going to be, there's going to be some unique characters in football who figure this out. I did an interview with a West Virginia radio station the other day, and, I've got like 4 guys that either coached for me, played for me, et cetera, that are on that staff. And, the fan base was all upset, and, we want so-and-so, and we want so-and-so. And I said, better be careful what you wish for. In the Big 12, every single week, every single team can beat each other. And they're all good coaches. So what happens is that when it's all over and done with, you're going to have a bunch of guys that are going to just beat each other up, and somebody's going to be the last man standing. And it's just a different world for college football than it's ever been, which, again, for me, as a fan of the game, I absolutely love it.
What do you see in the Tennessee Volunteers?
Heupel's a great coach. He's done a great job. They're a matchup team. The way that they run their offense is I've never fallen in love with it. It basically all came from Art Briles from many years ago, back, in the late 2009, 10, 11, 12 time, and Art was building it at Baylor. And, extremely wide receiver splits, power run football, quarterback has to have a gigantic arm, and they have to win their matchups on the outside. Well, people have they've seen this thing over and over and over again now. And so I think that they're a team that if they match up, if they get a rhythm, then they can score, 40, 50 points, but they also can lay an egg. And so I don't think they're a team that every week that you can expect something from them. I think they're going to be a team that's always going to be a 9-10 win team. I don't know if they're ever going to get to that magical, Final Four moment or not. And I think Heupel does a hell of a job, and he's a great football coach. But I don't love what they do offensively, even though it's kind of a trend right now to do their thing. It's a lot of their outside receiver stuff is based upon taking off full speed and then making a decision to set it down or to keep going. And so they win those matchups and they can blow you off the roof. But I think it's again one of those things that if they can run the ball against Alabama, they'll beat Alabama. If they can't run the ball, then Alabama should be fine.
Coach, my heavens, man, I want to ask you one question because you helped groom this guy, Jared Goff. It hurts me because I'm a Dallas Cowboy guy, lifelong Dallas Cowboy guy. What re-energizing his career by going to Detroit. Wow. Simply amazing what they're doing up in Detroit and what they've done the last couple of weeks.
Well, I told Jared I talked to him before he got traded and kind of told him I thought he was going to get traded, and he didn't think so, but he did, obviously. And then I talked to him right after, and I told him, I said, going to Detroit's going to be the greatest thing that ever happened to you. And I said, I know you don't think that right now. And I said, but you're going to a place that actually really cares about their team. L.A., you go watch the Rams play, and most of the time the crowd is for the other team. So it's not a real town that supports, the hometown team. Detroit, they may boo you out of the stadium, but they're for you. I mean, it's there. And coaching matters. Coaching makes a difference. And when McVay got his butt handed to him by Belichick in the Super Bowl, and he wanted a scapegoat, Jared was the easy scapegoat. And so, McVay's a great football coach, and he helped make Jared's career and did a great job with him. But once he got his butt handed to him, then Jared became the scapegoat. He goes to a place now to where they got a head coach that ain't nobody going to be the scapegoat but him. He makes it clear. If we lose, it's on me. If we win, it's those guys in that locker room. And they would die for that guy. And he's got a great OC. They put together a great group of guys that you can't just go, well, we're going to stop the run. It's going to work. No, Jameson Williams will run right by you. And Jameson Williams is improved unbelievably. I watched Jameson when he first came off of his surgery. I was in Detroit to see Jared in practice, and I watched Jameson in practice, and I wondered just how good he was going to be. He was struggling catching the ball, and, he's struggling with a lot of things. And I just wondered, and Jared said, man, he goes, when this guy gets it right, he's going to be phenomenal. And Buddy, was he right? Because now all of a sudden you got the great tight end, you got Amon St. Brown, you got two of the best running backs, you got the best O-line, you got a defense that's getting better all the time. So they've got a shot. Now losing Hutchinson obviously was a huge deal, and because he's the guts and glory of that defense and really of their whole team. So that's a big deal to lose that guy. But it's fun to watch somebody that knows what they're doing, how to build it, takes responsibility for everything that's wrong, and gives credit to everything that's good. So it's fun to see that in coaching.
Coach Tony Franklin, the Coach Tony Franklin system, it's CoachTF.com. You can follow him on the Twitter side of things, but if you're looking to dive a little deeper into college football, if you're the high school coach, they offer the lifetime membership, a full library, made digestible, accessible, paint-by-numbers system when you're looking to implement the Tony Franklin system. Coach, tell me more about how people can connect with you.
Well, the best thing, I've been really active on Twitter now.
I love it. I love your opinions. I love your opinions when you share it. I mean, it's because you're going out. I mean, you're sharing true opinions, and I love it.
Well, I'm trying to help coaches to have thoughts that might win them a game, that might save their career, that might make their job a little bit better. So Monday through Fridays, I do that. And then the thing I've really enjoyed this year is I had a game planning thing I've done called Hang 50. And I've got clients all over the country that are literally changing their careers. I had one call me the other day, and they won 59-57 in a game, the coach's first district victory. They got a young football team, and it was just the coolest thing, that the things that they just kept building and working on, that they're able to go out and win big like that. And so it's fun for me to help people week in and week out, and some colleges as well. So it's a fun deal, and I enjoy helping people. And, it's a whole lot easier to be successful when you're not coaching at all and I'm just giving somebody else advice.
Tony, Coach, I really appreciate it, man. That's great stuff. I mean, I've enjoyed, our audience has responded to everything that you've said. What a great insight that you can provide. Thank you again for the opportunity to visit with you here in Tuscaloosa.
Thank you, Ryan. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Coach Tony Franklin, CoachTF.com, CoachTF.com. You can also find that same account, Coach TF, on the Twitter account. Fun repair and the future repairs. No overtime charges on weekends and holidays. No hassle guarantee. Adams Heating and Cooling, 205-872-0045. Nuke's Eatery, they're on the fringe of the campus of the University of Alabama, close enough that you can smell the championships. The Nuke's Q sandwich, still the number one sandwich across the franchise. The French dip sandwich, I think, is going to challenge for that number one spot. The double club, the single club, you can pair those up with a great sandwich, salad, California-style pizzas, all available for catering from a group of 5 to 500, a small office party to a large corporate event. Joel Bromfield, they've done a great job for my family. They'll do a great job.
Take control of our future. Vote Republican. Paid for by the Tuscaloosa County Republican Party. P.O. Box 2643, Tuscaloosa, Alabama 35403.
Pat's Florist and Gourmet Baskets in downtown Tuscaloosa, 1010 Queen City Avenue. For over 60 years, they've been serving our community. They specialize in a large inventory of fresh flowers, weddings, gourmet fruit baskets. If you're trying to lift someone's spirits, it is Pat's Florist Gourmet Baskets by calling 205-345-5093. Delivery options are available, but it's more than just flowers at Pat's Florist and Gourmet Baskets, 1010 Queen City Avenue.
No prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Dan Byer.
New York Jets today acquired wide receiver Davante Adams in a trade with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Jets gave up a conditional third-round pick that could improve to a second-rounder if Adams is first or second-team All-Pro, or if the Jets reach the AFC Championship game or Super Bowl. No one's more excited than Aaron Rodgers.
Obviously, I'm really excited. Love Tay. He's a phenomenal player and a dear friend. I was pissed driving home through traffic. Had a couple messages. I was just not in the mood to talk to anybody. Got home. Tay had called me, so I finally called him back.
That was Rodgers speaking on the Pat McAfee show earlier today. Now, it's not the only deal done in the NFL. The Cleveland Browns sent wide receiver Amari Cooper to the Bills for a third-round pick, plus a swap of late-round picks. Bills released wide receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Game 2 of the ALCS between the Guardians and Yankees is at 7:30 Eastern. Hawaii is set to join the Mountain West as a full-time member.
I got spirit, I got faith. I might bend, but I won't break. I'll fight the elements. And I'ma go down swinging. If I go down, I'ma go down swinging. If I go down, I'ma go down swinging.
You know, every day at 4 o'clock, we play Nate Oates' favorite group, a little Toby Mac, as we come back in. We're 20 days away. Alabama's Media Day up at Alabama Basketball. We're 20 days away, brought to you by Alabama Credit Union, 20 days away from University of Alabama. They will start AP ranked number 2 in the country, the highest ranking in school history. And we are the flagship home of Alabama Crimson Tide football and basketball. So we'll have both of those, obviously 6 games into football, but we'll also have basketball games as well. And let's talk about a lot of different things right now with Brad Edwards. Brad is an alum of the University of Alabama. He also does Gridiron and the Gospel podcast. He's a veteran sports broadcaster, retired at ESPN with 25 years. Brad Edwards, I hope all is well. Welcome back to Tuscaloosa.
Thank you, Ryan. Good to be back with you.
It is.
It's been an eventful first half of the season. We'll see what the second half has in store.
Yeah, and I want to just pick your brain about a lot of different things. I was just talking just a couple of minutes ago before you came on with Coach Tony Franklin, and from a coaching perspective, he said it would be pretty hard from an Alabama perspective if you're Vanderbilt or some of the other smaller teams that have been able to benefit from this system. He said it's chaotic. It's as chaotic as it's ever been. What would you say about the current 6 weeks into college football? 7 weeks, including the bye week, but Alabama 6 games into the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, you look around the country and everybody looks beatable, right? I mean, the only team, at least that I can think of, that hasn't had a close call is Texas. And Texas hasn't played anybody. So I was actually looking at Texas a couple days ago, and the best offense they faced this season is Mississippi State. So they're looking at a big step up in competition when they play Georgia. And I'm not saying they can't beat Georgia. I think we all know that they can. But everyone who has been tested, and even some of those who played games that weren't supposed to be a test, have ended up being tested. And so I think as a general fan of college football, there's a lot to be excited about when we get to the end of the season as far as, you know, the possibilities for a playoff, because this does seem to be a setup where, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, like any of those teams could go down in their opening game, and you could have, you know, someone who's seeded 7, 8, 9, something like that, you know, get into the semifinals, and it's going to look different than it has in the past, or at least I think it will. That's one part of it. The other part, though, and this is, you know, when we went into this 12-team model, we knew there were going to be some trade-offs. There are going to be some things that we've always loved about the regular season that would have to be sacrificed in order to get more excitement at the end of the season, you know, with all the extra spots available. And I thought last Saturday night watching Ohio State and Oregon come down to the wire was a great example of that, because I was really enjoying a great game between two very good teams, back and forth, but at no point did I ever feel any tension that you have always felt when there is a huge game in the regular season in college football. That tension that comes from knowing that someone has to lose this game, and whoever does, their season is now on the brink. You just knew while watching it that whoever lost, they're okay. They're probably, both teams are in the playoff anyway. And so I think that was really the first big example we saw. I mean, you could argue Alabama, Georgia was the same type of game. But here we're like midway through the season, and to feel that, like, it's obvious that the sport has changed. Like you can tell how it's changed, and some of it is for better, some of it's for worse, and I guess it's just kind of personal taste as to which you think is a bigger deal.
All right, Brad, let's go back to the University of Alabama. 6 weeks into the DeBoer, 6 games into the DeBoer era. Give me your thoughts on this Crimson Tide football team.
Yeah, they're good. Not great. They're kind of unpredictable. You don't really know what team's going to show up. Although I think if we're being fair, the team that came out in the first quarter against Georgia, like, that's the aberration. Like, as great as they were for about 20 minutes to start that game, and knowing that, okay, maybe that's their ceiling. And if it is, they're capable of beating anybody in the country on a given day. But you look at everything outside of that one quarter, it tells you that this is a team that most of their sample says is not good enough to win a national championship. Maybe they're good enough to make the playoff, but you remember so many of these years in the past where the 4-team playoff, Alabama would get in, and they were so good that a lot of those times the semifinal game you knew wasn't even going to be much of a challenge. It was really just, can they win that one game at the very end in the national championship? I look at this team right now, and while I say, yeah, they can beat anyone on a given day, the idea of having quarterfinals, semifinals, and the national championship, having to win 3 consecutive games against teams that are in theory among the 8 best in the country, I don't see anything from this team right now that leads me to believe they could win 3 games like that in a row. Maybe that'll change. Maybe they'll start to figure some things out, get more consistent in certain areas. But based on what I've seen in the first half of the season, it's hard for me to sit here and say that's a team that looks like they're capable of winning 3 straight playoff games.
Brad, when you look at it, if the thing that you could fix on this Alabama team, where would it be? I mean, would your focus be on the rushing attack? I mean, the defense has not been where it needs to be. And Coach Tony Franklin, from an offensive perspective, a couple of minutes ago, he said he would run it down their freaking throat until they stopped it. He said there's a toughness component that's missing in Tuscaloosa.
I see that. I see what he's talking about, because it is kind of a head scratcher when you, at least at times, it seems that they really struggle to run the ball with the running backs. Obviously, the Milroe component is what it is. But with 2 very talented running backs, an offensive line that should be one of the best in the country, why is it so rare for a big hole to open up and a running back meets a linebacker or somebody at the second level, 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, either juke somebody or just runs through a tackle, ends up gaining, 15, 20 yards. You don't see that happen very often. And I really thought we would see a lot of that this year. That said, the question you asked me, if I could change something, it would have to be on the defensive side, because I think that's where the biggest problem lies as far as, my concerns about them being able to win the biggest games remaining on the schedule. And I would start at the defensive line. I don't think there are enough difference makers there. Now, this isn't something that you can change halfway through the season. The personnel is what it is, but I don't see enough examples of someone beating a block at the line of scrimmage, getting into the backfield, causing havoc. It just seems that, and look, this isn't really all that new. I don't want to act like this is just something that's happened this first season under DeBoer. I would say the last 3 seasons, there's been a lack of this as well. We just haven't seen a difference maker on the defensive line, where you're seeing someone who's able to just get into the backfield and in a lot of ways make up for problems elsewhere on that defense. And look, we all know that you could have issues in the secondary. Somebody could blow a coverage. But if someone gets to the quarterback before he has time to find the open receiver, then it ends up not being an issue. And that's true in a lot of ways with pressure in the backfield. And so I think that's where I would like to see improvement, is guys being able to beat blocks at the line of scrimmage. Now, you and I have talked a bunch of times over the years as there were seasons. Let's just say after Jeremy Pruitt, right? There were a number of seasons in the final 5 years or so of Saban's tenure when the defense just was not at the level that we were all used to seeing it, which was basically best in the country, right? Like where people were complaining. And I would tell you, it's like, if you look at the metrics, like if you look at the ESPN defensive efficiency metric, they are still a top 10 defense. They are still a defense that most teams in the country would love to have. They just weren't up at that usual, best in the nation standard. But as we sit here right now, I mean, I can tell you that the final 16 years under Nick Saban, every one of those defenses ranked top 10 nationally, finished top 10 nationally in defensive efficiency. Midway through 2024, this defense right now ranks 22nd. So it's not the first time fans have complained about the defense, but right now this one looks to be having more trouble than some of the ones, in more recent years have had. Even though the complaints probably don't sound a lot different, I think there are some signs that things are worse than they have been.
We're talking right now with Brad Edwards. Brad, let's go back to the offense, because I know you pointed out the defense side of the football. When you try to put your finger on the pulse of rushing the football, if you take Milroe out of it, his team's not very good at running the football. That's going to have to change, because I don't know if you can take the pounding that Jalen Milroe is taking. I mean, right now he's one touchdown short of what his match was last year. He took a beating last year. He's got 11 touchdowns. He had 12 last year. He's got 77 rushes so far, almost beyond that halfway point of where he was at this point last year. So, I mean, he's having to carry this rushing attack and obviously the passing attack. What do you think's wrong with the rushing attack?
Yeah, that one I can't explain. But I do know that it needs to change, and for more reasons than just Milroe's health. And obviously that's a great reason, to reduce the load on him. But you saw I think in the second half of the Georgia game, and you've seen it in parts in the two games that have been played since then, where teams are willing to take their chances with being beaten by someone else. And, whether it's using a spy or whatever it may be, like they are just kind of keying on Milroe as a runner. Like, I mean, whether it's a design run or whether it's a pass play, it's like, we're not going to let him beat us with his legs. And if he hits a pass down the field, so be it. But we're willing to live with that. And I think you're going to see more teams start to take that approach defending Alabama. And if they do, I mean, the way to beat that is if you can line up and run the ball, whether it's between or outside of the tackles with those running backs, if you force them to respect that, now all of a sudden it opens up everything else. And I think for this offense to be capable of winning some of the shootouts that it probably will need to win, later in the year, the defense can get better, but I don't think it's suddenly going to become one of the top 2 or 3 units in the country. They're going to have to score a lot of points in some of these games in order to come away with a win. And I think that's the area where they can improve. And if they can do that, keep defenses off balance where they can't just simply key on Milroe as a runner, then I think they've got a chance, to be able to score what they need to in order to have an opportunity in any of these remaining games. But just the line of scrimmage has got to get better, and you come up with a lot of reasons why, but the personnel is definitely good enough. And I don't think there's any reason that, when we get in the second half of the season here, that they shouldn't be having more success than they have been.
All right, so you've got Alabama, Tennessee this weekend, and yesterday we had a guy that came in, and I know it's not your quote, but we use it. We use it all the time. A guy came in. I mean, literally. I mean, Brad, you're known for the author of the book, the Bama Dynasty book, that kind of lays it out in facts of what Coach Saban was able to accomplish. But the guy came in and said, where's Brad Edwards? You got to get Brad Edwards on the hammer and the nail comment. Even though it may not apply as what it did a couple of years ago, but it still applies. 16 out of the last 17 years.
Yeah, 16 out of 17, and or is it 17 out of 18?
No, it is. I'm sorry,
yeah.
I misquoted.
Yeah,
17 out of 18
in a row, right?
Yeah, it was.
17 out of 18.
Yeah,
and so it was funny. I think it was my first year at ESPN. One of the guys on ESPN radio was talking about the Yankees and the Red Sox. And this is like late 90s. This was before the Red Sox had managed to turn the corner. And it was thought of as one of the great rivalries in sports. And the guy was questioning that. He's like, how can you call this a rivalry? The Yankees own the Red Sox. He says, is the hammer and the nail a rivalry? When one is always beating the other and the other one doesn't hit back, is that a rivalry? And yeah, that's what Alabama-Tennessee became. And we look, those of us who are old enough remember the years when it wasn't that way. Now, it's always been a very streaky rivalry, but it was mostly competitive, even when it was streaky. But in many of these years under Saban, it was not all that competitive. And look, I would be surprised if this game is not competitive, just because Tennessee's offense right now is at a level where it's hard for me to see them blowing out anybody in the SEC the way that they're playing. And the same thing on the other side of the ball, which is Tennessee's defense is so good that I don't see anybody being able to score a lot of points on them. And so I think Tennessee games are going to be close, just like Alabama games, are often going to be close for the opposite reason, which is that they're going to score, but they're not going to really slow people down that much. So it's a fascinating game. It's kind of like, something's got to give. Like, is it going to be the weakness of the Tennessee offense or the weakness of the Alabama defense? And so we'll see what happens. I do like Alabama's chances, though, just because not only that matchup with Tennessee's offense, but Kalen DeBoer, let's not forget, we talked about it before the Georgia game, has been very good in big games. They were a huge favorite against Vanderbilt, South Carolina. Those games obviously didn't go as planned. But the Georgia game was circled on the schedule. Tennessee is obviously circled, and I would be really surprised if those guys aren't ready to play.
Brad, when you look at the college football playoffs, let's say that Alabama slips up and they lose to Tennessee on the road. You've still got some challenging game, some that maybe look easier than what they did. You got to go to Baton Rouge, which Ole Miss just showed you that that's a tough place to play. You got to go to Oklahoma and play out Norman, play Oklahoma. Let's say that Alabama drops one of those games. Let's say that you're 5-1 now. The loss would be 5-2. You start counting the wins. Let's say a 9-3 team. How comfortable would you be for the college football playoffs in the current structure?
At the moment, just looking at what's going on elsewhere in the country, I would not be confident or comfortable at all at 9-3.
Okay.
And I don't care how difficult the schedule is, because for one, right now you have Notre Dame is still in it, with only one loss. Now, if Notre Dame takes a second loss and maybe they're not a threat to take one of the at-large spots, I think it opens up a spot for someone else. But another thing that I don't think too many people outside of the ACC have noticed is that the top three teams in that league, Clemson, Miami, and SMU. I know a lot of people don't even know SMU's in the ACC right now, but they are, and they're pretty good. Those three teams are all undefeated in conference play. Clemson and SMU both have one loss out of conference, but none of them play each other in conference, which means you could have three teams go undefeated through the ACC. Obviously, only two of them are going to be able to make the conference championship game. But if that happens, and you end up with three teams that didn't lose a league game and they all finished at 11-1 or better, I really have a hard time believing they're not all three going to get into the college football playoff. So right now, it kind of sets up where the competition for at-large spots is such that I would not feel good at all about 9-3. I do think with Alabama's schedule, like if you look at Alabama's schedule, if you look at Georgia's schedule, a few of the teams have so many good opponents on there that I think 10-2, they're fine. I think Alabama would get in at 10-2. There's some others, though, like Missouri, like Texas A&M, maybe even LSU, that I'm not sure that 10-2 is a slam dunk for them, just because they do miss a lot of the better teams and their schedule won't be as tough. But in Alabama's case, I think 10-2 is enough. That said, the game that I'm most concerned about, like looking at the remainder of the schedule, just because of the way I perceive the matchups, is LSU. So I think Alabama needs to win in Knoxville. You obviously don't want to be in a position where midway through the season you feel like you have to run the table. There's no more margin for error. That to me though is the magic mark for Alabama is 10 wins, and if they can get there, I feel like they're in the playoff. And of course, being in the playoff and actually being good enough to win it are two different things. But if you're in it, you have a chance, and especially if you're good enough to beat anyone on a given day.
Brad Edwards, man, this is good stuff. This is really, really good stuff. Brad, I look up at the clock, and it's been too long. It's been too much fun here. I want to talk about gridiron and gospel. George Schroeder's a guy that has covered college football from a national perspective. You've teamed up with him, and you've created Gridiron and the Gospel. Tell me more.
Yeah, so we have a podcast. It's once a week, and we both have a background in covering college football for many years, and so we love the sport. We love to talk about it. But George is now, he went from being a college football writer for USA Today to being a lead pastor at a church in East Texas. And while I'm not a pastor, I do have I've taken classes. I have a certificate of biblical studies. I've just really enjoyed learning more about the Bible. And so what we have is a podcast where we spend the first half of it talking about college football, and the second half talking about things related to faith in the Bible. And I think for some people, it's two topics that they're interested in, and they enjoy listening to it, and we enjoy doing it. And so I appreciate you bringing it up. And if you're interested in both of those things, then definitely check us out.
And Brad, I always enjoy the chats, and I'll invite people to connect with you at J. Brad Edwards. Brad, are you still selling books if somebody wanted to buy one?
Yeah, I would say if you want to buy one, go on to the website for either the Soup Store or the Bryant Museum.
I see him in the Bryant Museum when I was there just a couple of weeks ago. It was I saw it still in the Bryant Museum, so I know there. And you said the Soup Store is an option as well. Bama Dynasty book, author of the Dynasty by the Numbers.
Yeah, and I appreciate you bringing that up. And I tell you what, every year that goes by, and especially, we talk about all the parity in college football right now, we're going to start to be more and more amazed by what happened in the Saban years, and especially the book really focuses on the 6 national championships in the 12-season span and how dominant they were in that stretch. And I think that's the part that many years from now is really going to be mind-blowing, to think that someone in college football actually did that.
I mean, it does. It just further cements that this was the greatest dynasty in the history of college football. And Brad's able to document that through the Bama Dynasty book. J. Brad Edwards on the Twitter account. J. Brad Edwards on the Twitter account. Get it where you get your podcast. Gridiron and the Gospel. Brad, I appreciate you, man. Let's catch up soon. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Brad Edwards, always fun. I mean, we've had 2 home run guests back-to-back. Coach Tony Franklin earlier, and now Brad Edwards. We're going to phone calls, free the rest of the way. Southern Ale House Score Prediction Day. We'll continue with more of the game. Tide 100.9, 1230.
We don't ever have to fight. Just take it step by step. I can see it in your eyes.
Again, great message. I'm in Orlando, Florida. Bama fans since 1960. I was a baby. Take a breath. Bama fans first year. Bryant 5-4-1. Stalling 7-5. Saban 7-6. Give DeBoer a chance. Listen, I'm not off the DeBoer by no means. Okay, but we have to analyze what we're in 6 games in. So yeah, hold on now. I mean, listen, I'm a guy that. I get accused of toting the water. I get accused of being a chapstick, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me one bit. Jaisha, you started laughing when I said the chapsticker comment. So, hey, I'm with DeBoer. I think this Alabama team's going to be okay. I think there's a lot of things going on. I think the adjustment, the recalibration's what I've been labeling it. You heard just a couple of minutes ago. You heard it from Tony Franklin. He said, listen, this is chaotic as I've ever seen in the world of college football. Then you had Brad Edwards came in and knocked out a home run right there. Let's go to Marty in Arkansas. I've taken enough of your time with 3 guests. We don't normally do 3 guests on a day like today, but we did today because we had the opportunity to visit with both Brad and Tony Franklin. And right now we're visiting with Marty in Arkansas. Marty, good afternoon, sir. You're in the game.
Hey, Ron. One thing, too, Saban was 6-2 and the bottom fell out after he beat Tennessee pretty bad, and he had an onside kick. But this game has always been a game that the winner stayed winning and the loser lost. Because earlier in the schedule of these games, Cal College would play Dirty Orange the first week in September, and the loser was out, and the winner usually was Dirty Orange, and it came down to Tennessee and Alabama. on the third Saturday in October to win the SEC championship when they only played 6 or 7 games back in the 70s and early 60s or late 60s. And that's why this game's so important. And Bear Bryant hated Tennessee, hated them because it cost them a national championship at Kentucky. But I mean, I hate them because the way they treated the Bill Battle, and I had to live in a when we were kind of bad, and all the 6 houses in my neighborhood were painted orange, flying flags. But I hate them more than I hate Cal College. And I hope we go up there and beat them and knock them out. Because this is a game of elimination right here. Just, even for the SEC championship. But I don't think I think a one-loss team ain't even going to make it to the SEC championship. But I tell you what, it's going to be hard there ain't going to be many 2-loss teams in that 12-game playoff. And look at the ACC, too. Pitt is 6-0, is undefeated in there with a quarterback was 4th string on the Alabama thing, and he transferred out, and he might get into the NFL now because he got a chance to play at Pitt, and he's playing really well.
Okay.
So I don't, Indiana's undefeated.
Yeah,
in the Big
Brad
Ten.
when you look at it, he made me feel a little bit uncomfortable that 9-3. So you got to go
9-3. 9-3 ain't gonna get you.
Yeah, well, okay. So how much does that make this game? I'm not saying a must win, but if you lose this one,
it makes you a must win because you don't. Then you got to hope some other teams lose too that are undefeated for 2 losses, and then you're going through. I don't know how they're going to decide strength of schedule or anything like that. And this game's a must-win for either one of them. Because 2 losses, then you got no room for error on the other 5 games. No room for error, and you're not playing in the SEC championship. And if you get in, then you got to win 4 games in a row to win the championship. Because you won't get that first round bye.
All right, Marty, I'm ready for a score. What do you think?
What did I? 24-10, Alabama. 125 yards rushing. I think we're going to have to throw the ball about 20. Like what Mike
24-10, Bama rushing yards.
125. Because I think we're going to have to throw the football a bunch and, like Mike Detillier said, and hurt the back end of it, and get the lead, and then run the football and run the clock out. Because we're going to have to. I don't know if our defense can do like. I just hope our defense can do like what Arkansas did to them. And I'll tell you what, Arkansas, that coach is playing for his job, and so is Bobby Petrino. They're playing for their jobs. Because if Pittman gets let go, Bobby's out of another job.
Yeah, but Arkansas's played pretty good football, man.
Well, they get Tyler Green back. I talked to someone today.
I know you hate them. I get it.
I don't hate them. I just don't like them because they always lose the big game.
Okay.
I don't hate them. Because I grew up next to two.
Maybe it just, maybe a different word.
Well, one reason I hate them, too, I will say hate, because everyone around here don't like Alabama. So that's why I hate them,
Yeah,
too.
sure. I get that. But hey, you know why they hate us? Listen, at 5 o'clock, I'll run through the credentials of the University of Alabama.
Oh, I know. I run through that, too. That, too. Yeah. And that's what I told the Ole Miss fans. Look. Y'all just the middle of the road. You thought you were high mighty, and now you got 2 losses, and you're going to the bottom.
Yeah, I got you.
All right. That's why I told them.
Hey, man.
All right.
Appreciate
Ryan,
you, Marty.
Have a good
24-10, 125. Thank you again, Marty. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
All right, we'll break here. We'll come back. Josh in Georgia, get ready. Pat in Tuscaloosa, Dave. We're doing a Southern Ale House score prediction day. Hey, Ron down in Daphne got a long message from you. Not going to read it on the air, but him and Coach Frank would agree on a lot of different things. He's telling you what I tried to express with messages to you. He reminds you of the great defensive coordinator, secondary coach Bill Oliver. So, Ron, down in Daphne, Alabama. Great message. Appreciate the message. And the app messages are always an option there, whether you're listening in Orlando, as Ken was, or Joe down in Dothan, who shared a message with us a couple of minutes ago. We appreciate those. We read those. Hey, it gives us a good little interaction. We use it as a conversation because we appreciate you guys in the day. I'm just telling you. I mean, you were in the Cool Kids Club. Let's continue with more score predictions. Southern Ale House score prediction day. I was told that Brett Garner, the executive chef at Southern Ale House, creates a lot of the menu items. He was telling me just a couple of minutes ago, Cajun gumbo with Conecuh sausage and smoked chicken. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. That'll be a good option. I wonder when that's going to be ready, Brett Garner. You got me craving a little gumbo. All right, Southern Ale House, 1530 McFarland Boulevard, and also Southern Ale House Dockside. I want to remind you about Med Center Urgent Care Family Medicine. You find those guys right there at either location, Tuscaloosa, Northport, North River, Rice Mine Road, Demopolis, Hoover, Alabama, off of Highway 150 in Fayette as well. MedCenterUrgentCare.com. Let's go to Josh in Georgia. Josh, good afternoon. Appreciate your patience, man. Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
You good. Everything's good. And I know I got to wait because score prediction day is a big day.
Well, it is. It is, but it's
a turning of the page for most fans. So, because we look back yesterday at the game from Saturday and we turn the page now to those vile Vols from Knoxville, Tennessee. And this one's special. I know Paul's elaborated on it. I mean, like I said, besides Auburn and Georgia, these are probably the third worst, in my opinion, in SEC opponents as far as just how irritating they are. And like that video says, and I've listened to it multiple times, and I showed it to a couple of guys at work today who are dog fans, and they cracked up about that guy. He's like, I just hate him. And, oh, man, that cracks me up every time. I love it. I mean, I do too.
I mean, he says, I hate pumpkins. And to be honest with you,
right.
I can relate because everybody goes crazy over these fall
pumpkin spice stuff.
Oh, it's not
I
me.
like pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving, but that's about it.
See, I'm not even a pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving. It's
and I'm not going to fall out with you.
The only time we use pumpkin, I'll tell you this: we have a dog. Anytime you got a dog that's got an upset stomach or they're throwing up a little bit, pumpkin is the best thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it does.
About that?
That's about the only thing, because any other time it makes me sick at my stomach.
Right.
But it works for dogs.
How about that? I didn't know that. I'll have to make a note of that.
I don't know if Smokey helped design that or what, but
right.
Yeah.
But this is those vile Vols from Knoxville, Tennessee, and you can double check me on this. Since the Georgia win, going into that win was not Coach DeBoer, 12-2 against top 10 opponents. So now that would make him 13-2 with the Georgia win against top 10 opponents. Am I right about that?
Say it one more time. So he was 14.
Going into the Georgia game, he was 12-2.
He was
against top 10 opponents. So now he's 13-2.
He is
against top 10 opponents going into this game.
And he is a big game coach. When you look at the ranked opponents now listen, the Vanderbilt one stings, right? But when you look at Coach DeBoer, you can't argue with his success against top 25 teams. I mean, it is
right. I mean,
there.
He's the best in the country. He's got a better record than the
winning percentage. Winning percentage. Okay, let's be fair, Josh. Winning percentage.
You know what I mean.
Yeah,
you know what
I
mean.
got
You got me. I'm not saying he's the best in the country just because, but winning percentage wise, top 10 teams, he's the best stat wise. And that ought to make Tennessee fans nervous. Dude, I watched the end of that game Saturday night. Me and my buddy, we was going back and forth between that game and the Ole Miss game, and we couldn't really make our minds up which one we wanted to watch. But they let a bad Florida team take them to overtime. That should never have happened. As good as Tennessee is supposed to be this year, as bad as Florida's supposed to be this year, in Knoxville, your own house, you should have blown them Gators out, and you didn't do it. Tennessee, as nothing sucks like a big orange, you suck. And you can't even let a bad team, you can't even blow out a bad team. You let a bad Arkansas beat you on the road, that's a little bit more, because on the road in SEC, I could understand. I mean, we got one of those ugly losses too. But Arkansas, Marty said, Sam Pittman's coaching for his job, and he is. Tennessee, you suck.
Oh, Josh is just being blunt today. I mean, he hates the Volunteers. I get it. You live up there close to those guys.
I'm an hour from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm about 2.5 hours south of Knoxville, maybe 3 hours south of Knoxville. So, and I got to put up with some of them. I know some of them. And, okay, let me tell you this. So, I will be in Tennessee on Sunday for Sunday services. So, I'll be up toward Ellis's way. And so hopefully Ellis, he said he'd probably come to service with me on Sunday. But, yeah, so this one's a little bit.
I'll warn you a little bit about Ellis. Now, Ellis is a pew jumper. I'm not sure if you know this.
So, if I get cranked up, I mean, I'll jump one too every now and again.
I mean, he's like a hurdler, like in a 110 hurdle. I mean, Ellis is a pew jumper.
I mean,
yeah.
I wish I had on video from Saturday where I jumped up when DeMonte Jackson pulled that interception down.
Oh, were you you were a pew jumper then? Okay.
I come up. I mean, you've watched Kirby on the sidelines, how Kirby used to be a DB and Kirby jumps. And I mean, for, a hefty white boy, Kirby can still get that height. I mean, I was up there Kirby's height as far as jumping. I was up and dude, I was so hyped whenever they pulled that down. But anyway, Paul scared me a little bit, and Paul usually doesn't bother me. So, but Paul made me nervous. But I've overcome those nerves because I do hate Tennessee. It's a vile, disgusting orange. And Bama, are you ready? Here comes the number. Bama wins this game 38-21.
38-21 Bama rushing yards.
I will take it, and I will go one. Let's go right at 200.
Oh, Lord. Josh. I mean, he doesn't just believe. He believes. I mean, he believes. I mean, 38-21, 200. Let me tell you, if they ran 200 yards on the ground, I might do cartwheels down University Boulevard. So, I'm with you, Josh. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
And if they do, and if they did that, I mean, the 200 yards thing, I mean, they might just catch me and you both back flipping down McFarland and down to University and down the Strip. So,
I appreciate you, Josh. Roll Tide,
yeah,
man.
buddy. Roll Tide.
Man, little fired up. Josh is fired up. I'll tell you, somebody else is fired up. Mark's. It's always great to partner up with great sponsors that do help our community and help other communities in need. Mark Jacob loaded up the cooking truck, and you know where he headed? He headed to North Carolina, went up and served those guys up there. I don't think he's back yet. Mark, Jacob, and all the guys over there in Mark in downtown Northport. If you want to dominate the grill today or any day, how about a great ribeye? How about a filet? How about a salmon swirl? You'll find those. If you're looking for a chicken swirl, you'll find those. If you're looking for vegetables, if you're looking for some of the great entrees like casseroles, the dips, the cakes, the pies, it's Mark in downtown Northport under that Roll Tide Bridge. Also in Selma, Alabama, and coming to a city. They're actually expanding Dos. They'll be expanding 2 stores coming up the upcoming year. We'll tell you more about that, but I know that the location in Selma since 1978 and then downtown Northport under that Roll Tide Bridge. It's a great way to celebrate today, and if you want to nominate the grill, you can find it right there. Let's continue with more phone calls.
That's true or not, that's just what I heard. What kind of numbers had you heard on the Tennessee quarterback?
What have I heard?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about on his NIL deal.
Oh, no. I mean, we all heard the numbers prior, but as far as anything official, maybe that's the crazy part about, I mean, we all heard the numbers, but I don't know. I mean, does that really impact where we're going into this game?
Yeah, they expect to win. But if it's paying that kind of money for a quarterback, I'd expect to win too. But, and I mean, Tennessee, I just have zero confidence in one, our special teams coordinator, zero confidence in him, hey, Coach Womack, hey, I'm an alumni of South Alabama too, but I have zero confidence in Womack coaching in the SEC, and that I think we got the right head coach. He's just got to understand what he's got to have for us to be competent in the SEC. And we're not there yet. We're nowhere close to being there yet. And I hate that. Oh, I mean, I've lost confidence, man. But now we could. If we lose this ball game, because I really think Kirby's going to go over to Texas and put a whooping on them in Austin. And hey, if he don't win by 1 point, it's still a whipping. And so Ole Miss is sitting there with 2 losses that can't lose anymore. Hey, and
Are you a gambler?
We're going to have 2 losses. Hey, I quit gambling when I was in college.
Well, I mean, you got Georgia beating Texas, and you got Alabama losing to Tennessee.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's going to give Kirby with one loss, and and he's going to keep that 1 loss until he gets to the SEC championship. And now, who he's going to play in the SEC championship? No. But he's got to play Ole Miss again. I mean, Georgia Ole Miss is going to play, so that's going to wind. Somebody else is going to get a loss there, and that's going to wind them up. Either one of them gets a loss there. Could be bad news. But I mean, I really think that we can be at 9-2, not make it to the SEC championship, and sneak into the top 12. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Okay.
But this weekend's a loss, because they got to do something to have a come to Jesus session with somebody, and I think one of them is that because was you not been out of shape about having 2 number 2s on the field up in Nashville? Hey, was you not been out of shape seeing how pathetic we were at trying to recover a onside kick? I mean, the people that he had out there on that field to do that were not the people that should have been there. And hey, and we're paying Coach Saban $500,000 a year, and I don't want to pay him $500,000 a year to keep his mouth shut.
And you got some strong opinions, Pat. Hey, listen, I'm not with you on this Tennessee. I think Alabama's favored for a reason. If we go there and lose, then you can serve crow to me, and I'll eat it next week.
Okay. So you think we're gonna go up there and do?
I mean, Vegas doesn't have just a small favorite. We're up there by 3 points on the road, and their stadium should be worth 3. Yeah, so Vegas has
their stadium's worth 3 points. That makes it 6 points.
So Vegas thinks we're a better football team.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I'm hoping that I'm using reverse psychology on you, Ryan Fowler, because I hadn't done any good on anything else. Come on.
35-28. 35-28.
35-28.
Pat, I appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Have a blessed day. Thank you.
You do as well. Let's continue. Let's go to Dave. Dave, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well, man.
All is well, Brian. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm just plugging along.
Yeah. You got a good show going on. I wish you were talking about Brother Oliver. I wish you could get him on one day.
Brother is still living here in Tuscaloosa.
Didn't know that.
He's over in a retirement home, and here in Tuscaloosa. So I'm not going to discuss any more than that. But I'd love to talk to Brother, and I talk to him somewhat often. I try to check in with him and touch base, but I don't know if he could jump on the radio. We're all getting up there in years, Dave.
Yeah, I know it. I remember him, when Alabama and Miami tangled up in the Sugar Bowl in '92, and I'm telling you what, when he told Coach Stallings they're going to have to change the defense or they would lose, you remember that? And I said, man, he was a great one. He really was.
I do.
Yeah. And of all times when he went down to Auburn, I still pulled for him, even though he was, with Auburn, in that manner, because he was a great defensive coordinator. He really was.
Oh, he was one of the best. One of the best. I mean, and if you think about, Jeremy Pruitt, there's some connection there when you look at Jeremy Pruitt. I mean, a lot of people talked about, one of the sharpest minds. If you ask me the best defensive coordinator in Tuscaloosa, I don't think it's Kirby Smart. I think it's Jeremy Pruitt.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. And you said three good ones there. Kirby Smart, Jeremy Pruitt, and, Brother Oliver. And, you got to go along with Coach Saban. I mean, Coach Saban there, him being a defense coordinator. But a lot of defensive coordinators in there. But let me give you my score, and I'm going to go with the Tide 31.
Okay.
And the Vols, however you say it, the Volunteers, and I'm going to go 27, and I'm going to go 131 total rushing yards, and roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Quick, Dave, appreciate you there. 205-342-9904. I will say this, don't wait until tomorrow because we're also have a few guests tomorrow. It's Tennessee special week, Alabama. I hate Rocky Top week, and we'll try to get some of the folks that do hate Rocky Top. So if you want to jump in, you can do it right now. We do have one line available, 205-342-9904. Let's go to Stephen in Raleigh, North Carolina. Stephen, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
Roll Tide, Ryan.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Josh hit it right. Nothing sucks like a big orange. I tell you what, my hate for them is more than Auburn, quite frankly.
Yeah, and I can't even believe that Pat's sucking up to him. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, listen, even if there's no contest out there that I'm going to turn my back on my school and just say, well, I just gonna Pat.
I heard Pat on the Martin Houston show that yesterday morning, I guess it was.
Okay.
Pat's kind of got off the bandwagon. I'm starting to question Pat a little bit. I'm worried about him.
Well, Pat had surgery. Pat had surgery, so something tells me, I don't know, man. I don't know if it was upstairs.
He's not quite. Yeah, he's kind of loopy about it right now. Maybe.
Yeah, he don't sound as sharp as he used to.
No, I mean he's the man that hears stuff, and he hears how, he was all over. The wide receiver, number 2.
Ryan Williams.
Ryan Williams. He was all over Ryan Williams before anybody else was about being the best wide receiver on the team. He was all over that. And now he's kind of jumped off the bandwagon a little bit. I don't know.
He said he was going to get him back going. I mean, we only had one game.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say it's reverse psychology. He mentioned that in his call. He's doing a little reverse psychology. But, I always heard that, like, Florida won't fall off in the ocean because nothing sucks like a big orange. I heard that joke as a kid. And it's true. Those Tennessee fans, I mean, they can pick up trash in the afternoon on the highway and they can go to the game and, later on that day, they're ready for everything.
That's an option. I mean, they can wear the same shirt.
They can wear the same shirt. They sure can. Well, Ryan, I know we got people trying to get in, get on you, get their score in. There was a part of me that wanted to go real big on the score, but I still have a lot of faith in us. But I'm going to go 34-24.
34-24
would be a good solid one. That'd be a good solid.
Bama rushing yards. Where do you want to go?
137.
137. I got it, Stephen. I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. Roll Tide.
Right back to you, Stephen in Raleigh, North Carolina. We'll continue. David in Cookeville, Tennessee. We're going to get to you coming up in a couple of minutes. The Pharmacy at Midtown, TJ Thomas. He's the Nick Saban of pharmacist. The Pharmacy at Midtown. As you're thinking about, how can I keep my dollar right here? It's so important. We learned that a few years ago. It's even more important today. When you look at the Pharmacy at Midtown, it's the retail side of the Pharmacy at Midtown, the only sterile compounding facility in Tuscaloosa. The Pharmacy at Midtown, all the compounding needs, maybe those customized dosages you're looking for, you and your physician agree upon. It is the Pharmacy at Midtown. The Pharmacy at Midtown, also the retail side. Also, something that we don't talk about enough for your pets as well. They offer veterinarian medication, prescription dosage. Like I said, a great option, and some of those are compounded options as well. It's the Pharmacy at Midtown, the Pharmacy at Midtown with TJ Thomas. We'll continue with more. David in Cookeville. We'll go to Rocket Man up in Huntsville. He requested Brad Edwards. We delivered on that today. DeAndre, I see you. We're coming to you here in Tuscaloosa, right here on the game. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama.
At Humana, our Medicare Advantage plans give you coverage and care you can count on, along with guided support to help you feel your best. You could have a plan with a $0 premium or an all-in-one plan that may include medical and prescription coverage, as well as routine dental, vision, and hearing. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
He's at the Free at Innisfree Irish Pub, 1925 University Boulevard, downtown. Come join Wyatt Fulton for lunch at Innisfree Irish Pub. Need to know what's going on with the Crimson Tide? Then subscribe to our YouTube channel for exclusive content on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Bridge work on Lurleen Wallace is going to keep you a bit slow on the northbound lane between University and 5th Street. And we're also looking at former accidents, 15th Street at 10th Avenue. That one is all cleared. And also McFarland.
Your scent maracas smell amazing. Actually, Jim, most noses call them Gain scent beads. Try Gain scent beads. Way fresher than detergent alone.
It's the longest running sports show in Tuscaloosa. You're listening to The Game with Ryan.